Chris McIntyre, almost above average. So last night I had the living members of the Days11, our band from Reno, Nevada, on the podcast last night. And what we're doing is I wanted to do a creative project with. We're a little too far away right now to make the second album, but I wanted to do something creative together again. It's been a long time. Our guitar player passed away 4 years ago, and it seems like we all went on our own paths in different directions. But Days11 was a thing. We played for 17 years or something like that. We played a lot. We're more than a band, much more than brothers. We've been through it all. And so tonight we shared some stories of Days11. It's not meant for the public yet. We just did a planning session, had some good reminiscence. We talked for 2 hours. And but what I wanted to share with you is there's almost 45 minutes of my drummer, after my bass player left, my drummer and I just were catching up, and we accidentally stumbled into a political conversation, and it got pretty heated, and I wanted to bring it to you guys. Don't worry, him and I love each other. He's still my brother, for sure. But we got into a heated debate, and we've been in heated debates on stage. We've been in heated debates at practice. So it just felt natural, so we just went right into it. But I wanted to share the political debate with you because I think it's important. It's also important for me personally to try to understand that perspective, because I do get caught up in this, no, I'm right. Like, that's not the way it is. I do get caught up in that. I think we all do. But if I'm real honest about it, I need to understand it from their perspective if I'm going to understand it at all. Or I'm just going to be another guy just talking shit about almost half of America. There's a lot of people out there that have opposing views, and I love a lot of them. And my opinion is very sharp, and I stand up for it, and I'll stick up for it. So if someone pokes me a little bit, I'm gonna bring it. But I thought it was fun. I enjoy this, even though it looks like I'm mad or it looks like he's mad. We talk over each other a lot. It got heated, but anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to ramble there. Here, this is me and the drummer from Days11, Lindsey. Check it out. Hit subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments. If you want to see more stuff like this, let me know. We are going to do some Days11 stuff because it's a good time for Days11 right now. So anyway, here we go.
That's it. Never mind. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, because I'm always an independent. I don't like either side, but I tend to like the stuff that Trump's been doing over any of the stuff that the left has done. And the left has nothing right now. They literally have no ideals on anything, and they're not they haven't really pushed to pass anything, and they haven't came out with anything to even go up against anything that Trump's doing. And then everything that's going at Trump's doing now, they're even coming out. It's like, yeah, this stuff actually needed to be done. So it's like even the main parties kind of pulling back a lot of their shit on them. So they just don't have any strong ideals right now. And I mean, I find myself, I want to be sympathetic. I want to be passionate with people who need help and stuff. And there is a lot of people who need help, but I think right now with our last couple of generations, we made a whole bunch of generations that are too dependent on the government and too dependent on the free shit. And we don't get the hard workers we used to have. So I think that's what the biggest issues are, and the Democrats are not really coming out anything to basically help against that or push against back that. All they push out is just give more free shit away, and just I'm tired of giving money out as a more of an independent. The Republicans are more willing to cut money everywhere, and I'm more for that. I'm more for smaller government, more local government. I mean, the local government and state government should have more control than the federal government. So, and we saw that back.
The Republicans are a pathway to saving money.
They're all about cutting shit and stuff we need to do because there's bloat, and how much money of your tax money just goes out and then goes to some third party company that goes back into the Democratic Party or into the Republican Party. So I'd rather just cut all the side bullshit and get rid of all of that. Because it's our tax money, our money being thrown away.
How do you
and
know
that's what a lot of stuff. That's the stuff I don't like.
How do you know what's being cut?
Because all the free programming and all the programs that we've done since the early 90s and 2000s, and the bloat of the parties.
Like Medicaid, you don't like Medicaid?
No, I mean a lot of those are necessary. Those are
Medicaid.
That's why Medicaid and a lot of those need to help. We need to help the people who can't help themselves. But I'd say we get rid of food stamps. I'm
Get rid of
totally
food stamp?
against food stamps because I just think that when you get too many people on it, and if it was designed to basically for a short term thing, but if we got too many people, it's the same thing like if you like get laid off, is like there's a lot of these programs are only meant to be a short time, but we got people living off it for 10, 20 years. So we really reduced what people like the initiative to go out and be something and do something and move. And that's, I mean, that's what like you're talking about right now is like a lot of stuff in your life is like to be driven, to do something, go out there, be something. And I think a lot of this last generation, they don't have that. There's nothing out there telling that they should be driven to be doing anything, to build something, to be driven towards anything. I think a lot of that I see is that socialist ideas of like, oh, we all should share the cost, and all of us should hand everything to everybody else, and we all should leave off tiny means. And it's like, if you start getting too much of those ideals, you don't got a driven society of like people that should go out and like want to be better and do better and be better in their lives, because we got too many people where they get too many handouts and they're just going to sit on their asses and just collect money from the government because it's easier. And then they can sit on there and try to be a TikTok, well, mainly on the women's side, and sell their bodies to try to pay bills. And I don't know. It's just like, I see a whole society of that. Well, yeah, and I think as the morals of tearing down our society, and then you see that in the entertainment and all that, and it's just kind of like the way of kind of corrupting our society in a way, because it's telling us like you should, instead of trying to go out there and work, build families, and try to build businesses, you're going to go out there, sell your body until you're 40, and then you're too ugly or too out of shape that people don't give a shit about you anymore, and then hopefully you saved your money. And
no, then you got to get a career.
Make a living.
40.
Yeah, exactly. Or you should try to start families, but a lot of the time, by that time, women are past their prime and having children, and then that's why we got a lot more people have to have drugs and stuff to try to have children within their 30s and 40s, because they're too concerned about making instead of starting a family, they're more worried about making money and building successes in their early years. And that's a lot of like what our society's a lot of turned to or moved toward in these last, I say like since the 90s. And
build the wealth up front.
And that was that was a lot driven by the feminist movement, and that we don't need no man, and we should all be hardworking women. But it kind of destroyed the families, because they're not building the families in the 20s, and then when they're 20s to the 30s, when they're most like kind of fertile and ready to actually have kids. So yeah,
right. There's a weird balance between this independent woman that wants to pay her own bills and be in charge of shit, and the mother, the wife and husband, because it's a different role, and it doesn't have to be, in my head, it doesn't have to be one or the other. If you're going to be that independent woman, then you be that independent woman, and don't worry about the moms who aren't like that. Like, it's okay to be a wife that submits to your husband. That's okay.
Yeah.
And is a mother.
But when you got the society, you got entertainment, you got news, you got everything kind of pushing back against the stay-home mom. And that's where I see more of the issues too. And that's another like left-leaning thing, is like they don't like the home mom at all. They want that basically businesswoman, and that's a lot of the stuff they push and try to support. And then if it is a mom, they want a single like multi-kid, multi-dad mom who just lives off the government, because they know the way they're going to vote and where the money's going to come from. So that's the stuff that drives me crazy.
Well,
and you build a society with like, you keep on pushing that loop, and then that loop's going to continue. And then, I mean, you look back, I mean, I don't know, you could look back in the 90s and stuff, and how much more, I think when I was growing up, and it was all about like the families, and it was all like the small town, all of us, always hanging out, working as groups, as like multiple families. And then as I'm getting more into the older times and getting in more like the age now, I don't like, even the small town I live in here, like house to house, none of us talk to anybody. There's barely any like actually full family homes, like, and it's either like an older couple is still together, but there's like one or two maybe young couples, actually like families, and then everything else is like a single mom or blah blah blah, single parent kind of thing going around here, which is just more. I've seen it more than anything out here now, and so it's just kind of disappointing compared to the era
but
we grew up in.
That's kind of just a perspective though. Like we kind of view through our society lens of family as, you know, mother or a wife, husband, and children. But there's, you know, societies that we wouldn't consider
you see the
normal.
downfall of society if you don't have that, because you need base within.
I was thinking like an Amazon.
Because that's why they're saying even in the U.S. there's a drop in amount of births in the U.S. and they're like, that's why they're like, oh, we need to bring in all these Hispanics and all these other people from other countries to fill these needs of the U.S. because basically because the birth rate is dropping in the U.S. And it's like, wouldn't you want to more focus on the problem of kind of getting families back together, the structure of the family, and kind of removing the whole society and back into
what does that look
family
like?
values?
That's a psychological campaign, and that's decades.
That's why we went through 20 some odd years of tearing that down. That psychological campaign to tear it, to have the businesswoman to basically tear apart the family structure. I mean, that's what like the biggest problem in the ghettos was. The thing is like they tore apart the families by adding drugs and all that stuff during the 80s and 90s and stuff. And that's why we have that kind of structure within the cities and stuff. And that's a lot of that. That's where we see a lot of the issues that we have now in today's society. We don't have that strong family value society. And then you see any other societies who stepped away from that, even like Japan or even like China or anything that where they kind of try to stomp down on any like the have like the one kid or the smaller family kind of value. You see the falls of society quickly. And then even Japan, they're saying that the birth rates are real low and they're going to be having trouble. And the same with even like China's having a problem with that. And they got rid of that one kid thing. And then their society started picking back up again. And I think it's just that more of the mindset that we've been bombarded with in the last 40 years about what families are and the tear down of that family are. And a lot of it is kind of put out there by our government. And then you start looking into all the stuff that was kind of released and how much control that our federal government actually had within our media and our social medias and all that stuff. It's always just...
And you think that is one of the biggest issues facing America today?
Correct. Because if we don't start bringing the family values and bringing the family structure and pushing the family sticking together, having multiple kids, having more than one kid, we're just going to become a stagnant society. And that any society we've seen who ran along those lines always fall back into that system. They always end up having a fall. You could even go back to Rome and anything like that. Is like as soon as they started allowing other groups of people coming into there to start basically trying to bring in more like of a population, end up seeing a fall of the population and the fall of the society compared if the society continued to breed and grow within itself. Because it's like basically instead of just having like the tribe kind of grow stronger and bigger, you start allowing other influences and then they tear down certain walls within that society because it has different views and different I think different between like different religions and different way of living, which is fine for other if they have other cultures. So which is fine. Other cultures can stay in a section and have their own cultures, but when you start getting too much of like other influences and the tear down of the culture that kind of established and was the dominating culture, and then you end up seeing the fall of that culture and that society.
You're talking about segregation?
No. Because when you look in ours, it's always an American culture. But when we start we start bringing other cultures from you could even say Canada, you could say Mexico, you could say like South America and stuff, even because they have different ways of culture, different ways of living and stuff. And instead of coming in and like blending with our culture and like becoming American, now we allow them to maintain their society and maintain their culture within our culture, which is always like when original of our culture, we always would go and take certain things in it, but overall it'd still be a merge within our culture with their culture, and they would start speaking English or they'd start basically assimilate within the thing. But now we're seeing they're not assimilating because they built their own little townships within our cities and areas, and they don't have to. So
and you're saying that's a bad thing?
I do.
Yeah. Okay.
Because like I say, they're not not adding to what we are. They are maintaining what their culture is, which is like fine is if they would like take like certain parts. I mean, like, you go to, like, that's why I mean we have Creole, we have all this stuff in like Louisiana, and they have the blend of all these cultures, the African cultures and all that, and they all became one culture. But they actually assimilated to the U.S. and into that. But when you start getting them like these kind of like planted factions of like different other countries who were more willing to say "Viva Mexico" instead of "Viva America," even though they're living here. It's like, so if it's so great, when the fuck you go back instead of like living here?
You would like a government program in place to force immigrants to.
No, I'd rather kick them all out of the country, like anybody who came over here legally, because you broke the rules. I try to go to Mexico, I try to go to Canada, live in there without doing it proper. I'd get my ass in jail.
If you fled,
we could look at every other society across the world. You could look across the world, and everybody acts that way.
Persecution in any country, there's asylum. So if you're fleeing,
yeah, but you still have to still file for it, and you have to basically register with the government saying, "Hey, I'm asyling from this thing because I feel threatened." Blah, blah blah. But they're not doing that; they're just crossing the border.
You support the illegal aliens that have been here for 20 years, that came here illegally, haven't broken a law, have been adding to our society for the last 20 years, have children, have families here. You support deporting them?
Yeah. Well, I mean, why not? I mean, not. They broke the law. That's where I mean.
I don't know. I think that's cold and that's shallow and that's I don't know.
Because I mean, if I went over to another country, I went over to Mexico, I hit around for 20 years, and they found out I was illegally over there, they'd arrest my ass and throw me in jail.
Well, that's two different things. There's a big part that you're missing is I went to their country, I added to their society, I paid my taxes, I had children, I had a family that is also adding to society.
If
my
they're
son
paying
is
the
a teacher.
taxes and they're
my daughter's
in that,
a lawyer.
Yeah.
We're all adding to society now.
Correct. So
those
then why did
really
that
exist.
time like you're in that country? Why didn't you file? Try to get the green card. Try to do everything, get everything moving, do it the correct way. You sat here 20 years or whatever in the country, still learn mostly any English. Decided to like not to try to go through the channels to get your shit done.
You're willing to wipe away 20 years for that.
Because there's another kid that just got it was from Canada, came over here for 10 years, never re-upped his visa and stuff, and then he went over to go visit family, tried to come back and got kicked out of the U.S. He couldn't come back into the state because they never just went and finished filing. So it's like if I went over to like Mexico and then started just living over there, and then after a while I think I'd go like, maybe I should try to work to become a citizen of that country and like actually try to fill the papers out and then actually try to assimilate into their culture, into that society instead of just dodging. And I mean, you could say it cold, but like, I'm just kind of tired of just like, why are we the shit pot for every country to dump everybody into? And
I'll tell you, because it's presumptuous for a country to tell anyone how they need to act when they get here. Over and above, don't hurt anyone, and don't involve your shit in mine. That's not American. We're not supposed to tell you how to live, how to act, how to speak. That's not American to me.
Yeah, well, it's just fine, but it's the same thing. You got to do it correctly. You got to come in here, you file. You just don't run across the border and just start living a life in some other place.
But it's not that way now, and you're still okay with the 20-year-old person that's been adding to society.
Because they finally shut all that down, and that's the whole thing.
Ripping them out of their homes and sending them across the border because they broke a law 20 years ago.
Yeah, but they broke the law. Law is the law.
That's crazy.
If I go into another country and I break the law, I broke the law. It's so I don't understand why you're trying to hold another standard that other countries wouldn't hold to us.
What do you mean?
We have to do for this thing.
I know
it's like a feel good thing.
I promise you this: we're heading this way now. If I have to flee this country because shit gets so fucked up, and I run into Mexico and have to seek asylum, they're gonna
kick your ass out. They already had riots on about people coming over to their country, and they were trying to kick legal people out.
Then
people
they're just going to
legally to Mexico because of
they're going to get an illegal immigrant, and that illegal immigrant's going to be me.
Yeah, and then what will happen is your ass is going to be thrown in jail.
So
yeah, but your ass is going to be thrown in jail. They're not going to have that sympathy of like, oh, he's just trying to get out of there because it's that. You're just going to be your ass is going to be jail. Every other country does not have sympathy. Other countries do not have that kind of like take
No,
that
that's
America
something
had,
that
and
that's something
America
you're being
has had
fed.
for the last
That's something you're
40
being
something odd
fed.
years. I mean, even Reagan passed a thing and basically gave amnesty to all a bunch of people, illegals who came over the border. And after that, their borders were supposed to be sealed up. And that was like when Reagan was office. And so, but they just allow these things to keep on happening.
Let me
and
ask
allow
you this.
people to keep on coming in.
What are these how are they impacting your life personally?
They're taking jobs around the area. I mean, I'm not gonna say like, cause like I work
Give
with
me
a lot of
specific.
people who
How are
were
they
illegal
affecting
aliens
you?
and stuff. They're not really affecting me, but at the same time,
Why
they
do
are
you
taking
care?
jobs from other people from working and stuff. And that's
What
that's I mean,
jobs
you're
are these immigrants taking?
there are like a lot of like, jobs working within the hotel industry, and there's a lot of people like
Who are they taking them from, Lindsey?
they're taking it from just the average U.S. American, the guy is sitting on the ass and should be out working. That we're getting all these food stamps.
You're going to tell me
because how much money
showing
we paying?
He's not going to be at the hotel. He's not going anywhere. They're not taking any fucking jobs from anyone,
actually
Lindsey.
fancy programs, they give them free money from the government. Guess
No
who's
one
going to have
is
to show up to work?
No one is stealing jobs in America. Immigrants are not
start
stealing
showing up
jobs,
to work.
Lindsey.
No, I'm just saying they're going to start showing up. All these people that you say that are like live on these government programs and get all these food stamps and all this stuff. You start taking all those things away. Guess what? That happens. They're going to have to work. So then, what are they going to start filling in? They're going to have to start getting these jobs that are not going to be there, and
they're going to go work for ICE because they're hiring fucking crazy amounts of unqualified people.
At least I mean they're getting there or they're working.
Oh, that's so crazy.
I'm just they just having a society where you just like any other society, you just tear down the walls and you allow anything in. It's always been a problem. I'm an independent. I don't like Republicans and Democrats, but I'm just saying a lot of stuff it could have been fixed and it should have been fixed. I mean, how much I even think about like how much better would my education would be if like when I grew up in the town I grew up into, and half of it was like flooded with Hispanics, and I didn't get the proper education from our school district because they're trying to teach these kids how to read English and speak English.
That's a talking point. Where are the stats for that? Where are you getting this shit?
That's the same talking point you have. I mean, how much back at you where you're saying these like uneducated ICE people? There's nothing behind all that.
Here,
you're just coming up with your things. Let me see. It's kind of the CNN or what's that?
No, I'm Googling ICE hiring.
Yeah, from
standards.
Google. Yeah, I really believe in Google.
Are you telling me that Google is a woke operative? Are you one of those guys?
No, because I actually
Jesus Christ,
I had the head.
I used to think you were super intelligent.
I had the head of Google at my work, and at that time they were saying they're too left-leaning, and then the person said they shut it down as they were talking about it, and literally they had the photographer for Obama come in and do a whole speech to the people. So you're going to tell me they're not left-leaning when literally they had people in Google saying that they had people in Google. I had the people actually, the people work in Google, the upper-ups in Google. They had the HR management of Google there, and literally one guy stepped up and said, hey, we got this high perception of us being too left-leaning. And literally the HR person said, this is not the place to talk about that right now. And then literally they had the photographer who followed Obama around and just pushed the whole leftist agenda the whole entire time I was sitting there.
That is not a scandal. What you said is no information.
No, I'm just saying, because you're saying you don't believe in Google. Like, why Google? I was literally sitting with people who work in actually the people who actually run and do all the programming for Google. And that's one of the things.
I know, but your claim is that it may be left-leaning. That's your claim?
No, because we say he was basically saying that we're getting this perception of being way too left leaning, and he was basically saying, and I feel like it is, and basically it was basically shut down from their HR department, and literally, like I said, 2 minutes later, then they have
so that information tells you that Google is no longer a good.
No, because I mean they've been dragging through the shit for years on that. I mean, like if anybody actually you'll start looking deep in there, you see that shit.
I would argue
see like all their stuff that they were bought, like all the lawyers and stuff are old CIA agents, they're all the FBI agents in there.
If it's not right leaning, it's automatically left leaning. If it's not right leaning, it's automatically left.
Like I said, once again, I'm independent. I don't give a shit about the right. I think both of them are like shit.
You sound more like you're on the right.
No, you wouldn't say far right because you wouldn't say fascist, but
not at all. I don't think
because if I'm like far right,
I was more thinking you were kind of hinting at like the Great Replacement stuff and the that's what it sounded
how is it a great replacement? I say I don't care what color and stuff you're as American now. I just want you to let them start building more families within the U.S. of the people who are in the U.S. So how's that going?
I just want white people. Want to put a structure to force
I want
that.
like a family values back into the black culture. I want family values back in the Hispanic culture. I want family value back in the Indian culture. I mean, it's like we should.
How do you make that happen without manipulation, Lindsey? How do you make that happen without manipulating the people?
Well, because we've been manipulated the opposite way, and that's how.
So just manipulate them the way you want to manipulate them.
No, we're because the left has been pushing these agendas since the 60s. They've been pushing it about that's where like a lot of the stuff originally came from.
So why should we
during
as
the
America
60s they're pushing it into the because you have like a society of like uneducated people, which we see a lot of, or we see it like how our whole media is all dictated into certain factions, and we got one ownership of all these different media. And of course, they have videos where they put it in every single one of like these media outlets would be saying the same thing, and it put in the same kind of words and stuff. And you're not saying that we're being like manipulated at all. It's like they got videos of just people like 20,000 different news stations going blah 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 blah, and they're all saying the same goddamn thing.
What station do you watch?
I don't watch any of them. I'm on independent news now because all that's bullshit. That's all corrupted information. That's why I don't like getting it from the basic sources that everybody else thinks they get it from.
Do you think CNN is fake news?
I think CNN, I think Fox, I think all of them are all fake news. They're all agenda pushed. It came from
it's fake news.
When you go back to the 90s, when actually news was actually covered, they told you the news. They didn't give their opinion. And that's why they can't even say that they're telling the news. It's opinionated news because they have each of their newscasters are all like basically opinionated people who give their opinion on it, which is the opinion of the corporation. It's not like they're not, because that's why even the old news people they're coming out saying that they see the downfall of our whole news society because they're not going out there telling you news. They didn't go, hey, at 5 o'clock news, this plane crashed. Now it's like, hey, at 5 o'clock news, this plane crashed. There's a right wing guy flying the plane because they just put their spin on it. So it's not, or they'll say it like, and then go to Fox and go, no, that was a freaking white woman or like some black woman flying the plane because they just put their own like goddamn spin on it. And that's what a lot of our, like I said, the manipulation of media and all that's where we're at now. That's why we have people.
Who is your number one trusted source for news?
A lot of it actually I've been going a lot of YouTubers. I mean, I'd be going to either like CobraCast. I'd even say like Ethan. I'd say what is the name? I could look it up now. Because there's actually a news site I've been watching. It actually gives you like all the different spins. It's like aggregate of all the different news. It'll show you each one of the ones and the way they spin. Each one spins the news, and you'll see it. Each one are left or right, like huge spins on it stuff. And then that's where a lot of it I'll get the news because like I said, they're all opinionated. They'll try to tell you the same story, and then they put their own like twist on it. So of what basically their brand or whatever wants to tell you, because the news fell away from being news. It's more about, I want to sell you this toaster. I want to sell you this freaking bagger. I want to sell you this. And it got away from the news. That's why everything is like you hear on the news is like, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. Oh God, this is like, oh, immigration things. Oh, these people are getting beat up, blah, 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 blah. And then you actually see the real thing and none of that shit's happening because they inflammatory the U.S. and inflammatory the people who are watching the news. They're going to go, oh God, all this stuff, bad stuff's going to happen. So I'm going to watch. And it's like, and then they suckered you in. You buy it.
I don't know if it's on the news or not, but do you see all these clips of the ICE raids that they're doing all around the country?
Yeah, I see them.
And you're fine with that?
Yeah, they broke the law. I'm going to stick with it. They broke the law. I mean, they broke the law.
Let me ask you this.
I'm not...
These guys are not identifying themselves. They're showing up in unmarked cars, and they're masked up, and they're refusing.
They broke the law. And all that stuff is to basically protect them.
3 of my buddies can go put on a mask, put on a light, and just go fucking kidnap people off the street. I'll say that I'm ICE. What are you going to do to me?
All right. You're going to get probably found out at some point and thrown in jail for impersonating cops and doing
that violates the Constitution. That violates their oath.
No, it doesn't. Because the Constitution says that they got to come through the country correctly, and they got to basically put in for that stuff. Just crossing the border doesn't give you American rights. You have no rights as like a people who snuck across the border. You have no rights because you are not American citizens.
Bullshit. Everyone in this country has right to due process.
False.
The moment you're
reading
breathing
the
on this,
Constitution, it doesn't cover.
I'm gonna pull it up.
It doesn't cover them. No, it does not cover them. Well, yeah, because you can say the 14th Amendment still doesn't cover it because they're not American citizen. They don't fall under those rights.
Dude,
that
that's
only
not
falls
what it
under
says.
the rights of American
Lindsey, that's not what it says. It's all persons.
Yeah, of America. That you're actually a physical person of the state. Because you can twist the words, but you actually bring it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court's been shutting those down. Every time you keep on pushing that stuff, the Supreme Court shut those down. Because they're trying to reward it.
No, they didn't, Lindsey.
What they want.
No, they did not shut that down.
Yes, it did. Yeah, they did. Look, Trump's won every single one that they brought up to the Supreme Court.
Oh my God, where the fuck are you getting this shit?
Some of these are the Republicans that are like, or the Democratic judges
read
who push
our
this stuff.
Constitution.
Read our Constitution. I know their Constitution. That's why I'm calling bullshit on this.
Then tell me does it not say what I said?
No, because like I said, once again, they are not a United States citizen. They are not. So it's like me going over to like another country and then basically going, I got to fall under all your rules. They don't have to like have me fall under any of their rules. They could just throw my ass in jail for any reason. I mean, like you can see it across the world. It's that way.
Subject to the jurisdiction. That's what it is. So if you're physically inside the border of the United States of America, you are entitled to due process. How else do we find out
which
if
means
you're illegal
process means
or not?
We're gonna pick you up. We're gonna basically find out you're illegal, and then we're gonna process you and then kick you out of the country.
How do you find that out?
That's what. Well, yeah, because we're going to give you due process because they got to figure out
what does due process look like.
Well, that's what I mean. You're going to have to find out that you are actually illegal citizen. That's why everybody's like crying, like, oh, they're kicking out like American citizens.
But what is it? What does due process look like?
Basically, due process is basically we're going to pull you in, we're going to process you, we're going to see what your legal status is, what you are. And if you are like actual legal citizen or you have standing within the country, you're fine.
And what is that process?
If you don't have you don't have a standing within the thing, then you're basically kicked out. And that's what that's like how it is.
What is that process called?
As what it is, due process.
There's a hearing. You go to a hearing.
Correct.
And to find out who you are, where you come from, what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
And then we find out that you crossed the thing illegal, and then you're basically charged with crossing the border illegally, and then they basically throw you out.
Or you say you're there running from oppression in your country, and you're here for asylum.
Yeah, and then which you should have filed for asylum papers.
But either way,
gone through the process.
If you're in the United States,
if you're skipping a process like anything else, it's like if I do a speeding ticket and I decide not to pay the speeding ticket, sooner or later they're going to come and pick me up for basically failing to pay the speeding ticket. It doesn't just go away because I ignored it.
I would argue against that out of experience.
Well, Well, once again, somebody who sticks to the law and hasn't been in trouble with
doesn't
the law
understand it. Apparently,
always end up doing the right thing, and then somebody who hasn't done the right thing.
Learn a little bit.
No, because I think I'm doing good.
I didn't know you were that crazy, Lindsey. Jesus
I'm
Christ.
good. I'm not crazy.
I'm not sure you're trying to kick all the
I'm
brown
not
people.
You're trying
to kick all the brown
people into all that stuff. I'm like I said, I follow the sitter. I'm like,
dude, they're making it scary out there for the regular population. If you have brown skin in America, it's scary out there.
It's not about brown skin. I'm saying throw them all out. I don't care where they're from. If they're Canadian, they're like over all the other different countries.
I'm saying there's fear in people who are American because Americans are getting
who's put up with the fear? That's where that goes to the media. And like I say, who's the one pushing the way of like how that is? They want to push more fear so they get more people eyes locked on their table so they can buy their Viagra. And that's what that's what the media is all about.
And you support it. You're supporting this whole thing.
No, I'm just supporting getting everybody out who's not like illegal.
I know, but you can't support that without supporting what it causes. Because what is that causing in America? A lot of fear among the regular people.
We can set things up. It gave people numbers to call and then say if they want to leave the country, they could do it illegally, and they actually give them a chance to leave the country.
You're not hearing me.
And give them money,
nothing to address the fear.
They got more of a chance to get back over into the country. So I mean, how else are we going to just have like like hey, this person, we're going to have this piece is going to have like a big fluffy hat on. He's going to walk around and go, hey guys, if you're illegal and you want to do it correctly, you could come and talk to me. It's like how many fucking those people are going to come running to that guy to talk to that guy to go, oh, I'm here illegal. I want to start doing it the right way. It's like all these people had their chance. They just never moved on it. And
no,
I just start losing sympathy on that after a time. I don't.
Lindsey, you don't go into our communities with the military and utilize our resources and our tax money to scare the person, to scare our freaking populace. That's what they're doing. That's what you're missing the fucking point of. You're not addressing the fear that this is causing.
I don't think it's people as scared as you're thinking it is. Because
I promise, my mom said this to me.
You're watching the freaking media again.
My mom told me this.
Is your mom illegal? Is they going to come arrest her?
No, she has brown skin. Think about it.
They're not going to come and just start arresting everybody and start like swinging at everybody.
You wouldn't have to think about this. This would never cross your mind, Lindsey. You have to try to see it from a person with brown skin's perspective. In this country right now,
I've had this conversation
you don't understand.
Before like even this stuff was gone. I was talking about the border back in like early 90s with one of my coworkers.
I know, but you're not even addressing the chaos that it causes. You're not addressing the chaos.
Yeah,
they don't need to do it this way.
What other way
is unnecessary shit that's happening right now.
They already pushed the shit. They already pushed to go, hey, if you want to basically leave, we'll give you money. We'll give you that. You'll get even the first chance to like swing back to try to get back into the country. But instead, they decided not to do that. So why should we start being sympathetic for these people if they already have like a way to do that stuff?
We should have continued to be sympathetic.
No, we are sympathetic, but it's just like how
you
why
are not.
Should we continue?
You are not. You don't give a shit about the chaos this is causing in our country right now, the fear that it's causing in our country right now, and it's fucking offensive.
But it isn't. Like, once again, it's just like, it's all that propaganda bullshit. I walk out of my house every single day, and I'm not walking around going, people running across the street, oh my God, the world's on fire. It's the biggest bullshit thing ever. And it's the biggest like, push right through all this stuff. Lindsey, it's the biggest issue.
You can't talk, about this shit.
I literally work up in Tahoe, where I spent most of my days working with a lot of these people. And I know a few of them who were illegal, but actually became illegal citizens because they actually filed and they did end up going and doing it right. And I have no problem with them. So that's what I just don't get it. I mean, half the hotel I work with, there's like all of them came through and then ended up becoming nationalized citizens, and they have kids, and we're all there supporting them. And I have no problem like working beside them and doing anything like that. But it's when, like I say, when you come over, you break the law, you don't.
But if you're working with one of them,
you don't go through
and one of them gets snatched, and one of them's a mother or a grandmother that gets snatched up right next to you, you're not going to give a shit because that person broke the law, and that's where you're fucking heartless.
Actually, it has, because even one of the guys, the guy I actually work with, his wife got picked up.
And you want to keep the family together? What are you talking about?
No, but because what she did, she didn't file the papers. But guess what? Now she's filing the papers and she's working in. I even wrote a letter for him to have her come into this country. I gave her like a proof read like saying, hey, I believe that she should come over to this country, but she's doing it right now. But she had to get kicked out the first time.
What if they say no and they jack her and they pull her out?
Why should I have any sympathy for these other people who don't want to do it right?
Because you're a human being, Lindsey. Because you're a fucking human.
I am a human. But what other right do I could, like I said, once again, what other right do I have running into Canada and just start building a living there? And
you said you like families. You're big on the families, right? Answer this. You're big on families. You're okay with families, right? You like peace in families. Would you like your family to be peaceful? Would you like other families to be peaceful? Does it matter if they're Mexican?
No.
Does it matter if they're Canadian? Does it matter if they're Canadian? Does it matter if they're Canadian?
Anybody from outside the country? No. I'm fine with all of them.
Does it matter if they're Indian? You want them to be peaceful.
Well, once again,
have that experience.
Be peaceful, but they should go do it the right way.
Wait. So you have a qualifier. You only want them to be peaceful if they cross this line and they had all their shit together. Doesn't matter what was going on. They weren't suffering emotional damage, mental problems, family problems, war back home, all of that shit. You're just going to wipe all of that away and say if they cross this line just because that's a crime,
the whole thing,
then they don't deserve to be in my country because they crossed this line.
They deserve to be the country, but they got to do it the right way. And just like the guy I work with, his wife is going through the process to do it the right way. And actually,
you're willing to say
him further
all
back.
That. I don't
from her
have
coming
no
into
heart
the
about
country,
that. I don't care about your family. I don't care if you built a family here. I don't care if you add to my community. If you cross this line, you should get kicked the fuck out. That's what you're saying.
Just saying, you go through the process.
Okay, as long as you're saying that and you believe
We're
it.
setting a process. No, you're just trying to put things in my mouth once again, because you're rage baiting, and I'm not like, I don't care if you're rage baiting, but the whole thing.
I'm not. That's what you're backing up.
Just like there's a process for them to like come into the country. There's a process to get them kicked out of the country. If they didn't follow the process to come in the country, right? Why should like I be worried about them doing the process of them kicking out? There's a process.
This isn't our process.
We don't show up with masks. We don't show up unidentified. We don't show up and yank people from houses and workplaces and construction sites and off of roofs. We don't do that.
Yeah, and I wonder why there's like so much fear in that, because it's basically our government on the left side
starting a war with
for
the
those
people.
Sanders, trying to basically they give those people's identity out so they can be doxxed, and that's what. So you're okay with people being doxxed? You're okay to destroying other people's lives because you're giving those people's information out there to be put on the web to basically dox, so their family be threatened. They have like people throwing rocks and people into the houses. So you're okay with other basically vandalism, long as it's not affecting one other side.
I'm not okay with that at all.
No, but that's what you're talking about. That's what you're leading into.
About that specific situation.
When I'm demasked,
on the
you
record,
want their names out there. The people that are putting out there have bad intentions. They want to put them on there. They want to put it on society, on the social media to be doxxed. So that basically their family. Because there's already one family that already went through that. They already have proof that some of these ICE members, they have people showing up their houses and throwing rocks and shit through their windows and stuff.
I bet.
What, for doing their job? So it's like me going to your workplace, start throwing shit at you on top of a roof, trying to knock you the fuck off, just because like I feel like you should be doing that on the roof.
They need to have a heart and a soul, and they need to quit and not fucking follow these stupid fucking orders from a freaking Nazi-like regime. If you are an ICE and you fucking see this shit,
again, you're
I hope you fucking quit or you're a fucking bitch.
You're taking the word Nazi out of the context, because Nazi is like a word of fascism, of way of control. So the way the media like dictates and stuff, it's totally the opposite. It's like how what you're trying to bring in.
What do you mean? Explain that.
It's like the way actually how like Nazism, how actually they managed to develop the society is more the way the left is actually running it. They're using propaganda of fear through the media.
This sounds very
Nazi. That's where, and then once again, that's where I'm saying that's where you're pulling a lot of the shit is through these certain media aspects. And of course, they're going to go out there and go, "Oh my God, this is the worst thing ever." But like I said, you walk out the fucking street right now. How many ICE raids are zipping past you right now?
That is the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
How's the dumbest shit? Because I'm telling you,
think about the size of LA. Think about the size of LA. If you're going to go do an ICE raid on
how
block
long did
building,
LA just allow these people to keep on flooding into the thing and not immigrating in within the system?
What about
once again? I'm asking for one thing: asking them to do the right process. Even if they're here, they could go in and they could start filing the papers and start moving toward it. They had all this time to do it, but
not anymore. Like they don't do it. Their immigration status pulled, and
because and guess what? It would have been a lot easier when like all the Democrats were running the society. They could have gone in and like filed for when like Clinton, when Obama was on there. They could all start filing to like get their statuses in the U.S. And guess what? It would have probably been easier. And actually, Obama kicked more people out of the country than we're even up to on Trump
yet. We didn't hear about it like this, and he wasn't
because they're quietly doing it. Because once again, it wasn't the left leading. So if he was like the Republican or the conservative side owned the media at the time, that's all you'd get flooded with this. And that's what I'm saying. Like the outrage is all mostly in the media. And I mean, it would be pretty quiet if the media wasn't going up here and like playing this like whole thing. It's like we're getting beat down kind of thing, but it's like he's kicking him out. He's the one that built the cages. All happened under freaking like when they're shoving kids in the cages. That was all under Obama and those guys.
And that's fucked up.
Yeah, it is fucked up. But since it wasn't all special on the media, you didn't give a shit. All of a sudden now they're putting in all this stuff in the media where you're seeing it and you're flooded with the way they want you to see how it is, and you bought into it. So that's why
I'm describing life right now. In order for me to see it, someone has to show me.
Yeah, but once again, when they didn't decide to show you what was going on, you didn't give a fuck. But now they're showing you what's going on. Now you have opinion about it. So where were you the fucking when Obama was doing it? Did you have an opinion? No.
Where are you right now besides defending this bullshit?
No, I'm just saying
like you're supporting it.
I'm just saying there's the laws. Once again, I just go back to the same thing. There's the law, and you just keep on blowing me off on it. But it's like that's where I stand.
Yeah, I know. I think it's a cop out, and I think it's weak. Like you're willing to sacrifice the family that you say you support.
We should just open our borders, tear all borders down, let everybody flow into our
That's
states.
completely different.
Because it makes us feel good. Because my heart feels good.
That has nothing to do with my
argument. We're doing this
at all.
stuff, and it's like, once again, I'm like saying we have so many issues.
You're making up an argument.
If
for
we
me
actually
that
reduced like
about.
how many people came in there, and we want to give all these like food services and stuff in there, and it would be much more manageable.
So
like
don't feed the people that come in.
No, we'd like well. If they actually were getting abused in their country and they actually filed to be come in here and they'd get status to be in the U.S. Yes, but if they're just running across the border, then no, because they're like I said, once again, there's processes, and I have no problem.
And your perception is that the border is just running crazy with illegals just crossing.
No, it's not, because it's closed down. There's no illegals coming in now, but. When you go back like 3 or 4 years ago, yeah, there's almost 1 million flooding in today.
That affected you how?
Huh? Oh, it affected all the states below us. Just because it's not in your state, it doesn't mean it doesn't affect you. It's kind of weird that New York is pushing back against it when they actually started flooding them, sending them up there and dumping them off of there. All of a sudden, it becomes a big issue. All these states where they actually start sending these people, like a large amount of these populations, and not just leaving down Texas and go, oh, Texas will deal with it. Oh, all these lower southern states will take care of it.
So you supported those political stuff.
Sending them out there.
You supported those
actually send them out to the other place, and all of a sudden they start having issues with it, and then they send up these bunch of immigrants up to these states that are all just Democratic, but they're all like high electorate started flooding them in there. What they do? They kicked them out. They immediately turned those people around and kicked them out of their state. They didn't go open up a warm blanket and go, here, come here, I'll give you some food. They're like, oh, get the fuck out, and then send them back down south. So I feel like I get it. You want to be righteous. You want to be like the guy that says, "Oh, these are the worst things," and these are all the things that like.
No,
make
that's
you feel
not
good.
even
But
it.
it's not.
I want him to do what he said. I want him to get the criminals out.
Correct.
And that's it. He's building concentration camps,
but,
Lindsey.
But
American
like,
citizens
they're all
are getting
criminals.
grabbed up.
As soon as you
American
cross the border, you're a
citizens.
criminal, dude. That's
American
the thing you
citizens
don't
are
get,
getting
because
grabbed
you broke the law. As soon as you come in,
American citizens are getting picked up.
The thing that sucks is like, what we got to
American citizens are getting picked up.
We got to wait for these people to actually
American
rape a child,
citizens are getting
or
picked
beat
up.
up somebody, or rob
American
somebody, or
citizens
take
are
over a
getting picked up. Can
housing
you fucking
complex
hear me?
before you actually go out and do something.
Jesus
So we
Christ.
got to wait. We got to have the people come in here, do the crimes, then throw them out, instead of just like haven't thrown them out and then just
No, you guys
like,
are afraid
basically
of
they
everything.
could-
You think every fucking immigrant coming in here is going to fucking break the law, rape your daughter, and steal from you.
No, I don't think at all. But like I said,
What are you afraid of? They're not hurting you. They're not taking from you. They're adding to your life.
They just got to follow the rules. And once again, I'm
They're
not fear
adding
baiting.
to your
You
life.
are. You're the one that's getting
the rules
emotional.
has nothing to do with you
I'm
except
not,
for your
I'm
feelings.
not emotional.
So
I'm not
stop
emotional.
fucking stop
I'm
worrying
not
about
going to
them.
connect it to my feelings, because I'm just saying
Then
all they
stop
got to do is follow
worrying
the
about
law.
them.
No,
Why do
I'm
you
not
take
going
such
to
a strong stance if you don't care?
No, what is it a strong stance to believe in the rule of law?
Because you're discounting a million other things to do it.
Why? Because there's
you're
ways to get
crazy.
laws.
You're
If
fucking
you,
crazy.
You know, no, I'm not crazy. If you want to affect it, you want to change it, change the fucking law. Go run for your district and go change the fucking law.
Why do we have to do it like this?
That's too much hard work, because you'd rather sit here on a thing and complain about it, and actually, instead of going forth and doing what you like, it's cool, but like, I want to be an influencer. I want to be here and like be emotionally and push my way of views. But like your way of views
Hit
is
subscribe,
just
y'all.
I know exactly.
What were you saying?
All right, well, I gotta get going because I gotta work in the mornings. But I'll have to get you.
All right,
I'm just saying.
son of a bitch.
No,
You're
you
fucking
know
nuts.
me forever, and you're good.
I didn't know you was like this. I didn't know it was that bad. Holy shit! You're lost. You're gone, Lindsey. You're fucking gone. You've been 100% brainwashed.
Politics forever. No, hell no. But I think I'm way far away from it, because I don't listen to any of that bullshit you listen to.
I love you to death.
I'm not your race bait, but I do love you.
I love you too. I'll see you later.
I could talk to you, see.
So there that is. Me and my drummer arguing again, just like the good old days. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please hit subscribe. We do have a Days 11 project incoming. We're not sure exactly what it looks like, but we got a lot of work done last night on it. So look forward to that, and thank you all for the new subscribers. I really appreciate it.